statements you are about to hear are true. All statements made can be verified and substantiated by the recorded record on file, personal documents, and medical records. For the past 14 months, I have visited 100 Center Street, New York City, in good faith. I've been no threat to anyone, nor to myself. In which time, as the record will show, I have only sought to exercise my right to due process by being informed of the nature and cause regarding me and any alleged matter, as I am entitled to, according to the Sixth Amendment of the United States of America Constitution. I am well aware of the fact that I am the first person, to my knowledge, in New York City, and probably the United States of America as a whole, to ever make a Sixth Amendment challenge. Over the course of 12 to 13 months, I watched and listened as the party on the bench, Laura Ward, recorded an illicit number of crimes on the record, ranging from perjury, admitting to mail fraud, assigning counsel without my consent, setting a trial date without ever making sure I was provided my right to be informed of the nature and cause. This alone is a violation of Section 1, Article 13, and Section 6, Article 1 of the New York State Constitution, and a violation of Title 18, Section 4, prison of a felony. I knew then, without any doubt, that Laura Ward was willingly, intentionally, voluntarily, and knowingly working as a participant in a corrupted enterprise with Ellen Biden, Alvin Bragg Jr., and Letitia James, pursuant to Title 18, Section 1961, Title 18, 241, and Title 18, Section 242, to deny me my right to due process as protected by the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution. I had already reached out to Ellen Biden, Alvin Bragg Jr., and Letitia James, each individually, but none of them has ever formally responded to this day. By this time, I had become used to being surrounded by armed parties in the room who took their direction from the party on the bench every time I visited in an attempt to silence me. But what happened over the course of the next few days changed my life forever. As I mentioned previously, Laura Ward unlawfully set a trial to start before Melissa T. Lewis. Melissa T. Lewis seemed at first to be interested in letting my concerns be heard, but I was sadly wrong. Once I stated on the record, it has not been established that I am a proper party to any action, as nature and cause has not been established on the record regarding me and any alleged matter. Everything changed. Melissa T. Ward, from that moment on, interrupted me again and again, never again giving me a chance to completely record a full objection on the record. I politely asked her on the record to recuse herself because it was clear she was unwilling to provide me with my right to a fair and impartial hearing. To my surprise, she said, on the record, I will find you a new party for the bench. I went to lunch thinking maybe things had finally turned in my favor. Maybe I had finally found that voice, that person, after 14 months. After being unnoticed and receiving no adequate response. But I was sadly wrong. The nightmare had just begun. Later that day, I entered the room to face the party on the bench, Robert Mandenheim. I knew something was off. Not so much that I was the only party in the room who wasn't working for the party on the bench. That was the usual pattern. It was just a feeling. I was allowed to make one statement on the record before Robert Mandenheim ordered 7 of his armed men to handcuff me, drag me into the well, and slam me into a chair, which is a willful, intentional, and voluntary violation of Title 18, Section 1512, witness intimidation and tampering. As a result of those injuries, I spent the night seeking medical attention, whose records I have and have been sent to the proper authorities and the media at large. Upon returning the next morning, much to my surprise, I was back to visit the party on the bench, Melissa T. Lewis, who had the day before stated on the record she would be recusing herself. I knew then that she was also part of the corruption and had planned for me to be arrested and detained by Robert Mendenhall. But I had been wise enough not to voice my objections under imminent threat to my person. Later that same morning, Mr. T. Lewis had once again set the scene. This time, I was surrounded by a special unit of armed parties I had never seen before, all dressed in bulletproof vests, wearing black gloves, armed with handguns, breathing right on my neck, speaking insults into my ear every time I dared to open my mouth and challenge the party on the bench. I stood silent, not in any way to be misconstrued as giving implied consent, but out of fear for my life. Thankfully, I was there with a witness. Otherwise, I can't confidently say with any type of assurance that I would even be here to make this recording. As we broke for lunch, I raced to the door with my witness, praying to get outside without being harmed. Where, much to my surprise, awaited me the same legal aid who I had fired both privately and on the record, but yet he was still being called my attorney by all parties on the bench. While I had no interest in anything he was likely had to say, my witness gave him the opportunity to be heard. After speaking with him, she informed me, I'm sad to say, that a person who I thought up until then was a good friend, I would say, who was already incarcerated by the name of Cliffy Thompson, wrote a sworn affidavit alleging that I was his partner in a conspiracy to steal over $1 million and manufacture and sell ghost guns. I wanted in my heart to believe it was done out of fear, but I knew deep down it was personal betrayal to reduce his own sentence. At that point, I knew that Melissa T. Ward was now working with Laura Ward, Ellen Bybin, Alvin Bragg Jr., and Letitia James, and would stop at nothing to silence me. I considered myself lucky, even blessed, to have made it out of that building safely over the course of the last 2 days. But I wasn't going to keep playing Russian roulette with my life. I knew they would eventually find a way to incarcerate me. Who knows, even potentially make it possible for me to be killed. So with great reservation, out of fear for my life, I accepted a plea. No information was or ever been found showing I received a financial benefit, stole any money, or distributed any ghost guns. But I knew it didn't matter. If I came back to visit this place, I knew in my heart they would find a reason to incarcerate me, and the possibility of death would be a very serious possibility. And I was no fool. I knew good and well what they do to people who challenge them. And I wasn't going to give them another chance. All the while this was going on, friends told me to reach out to the newspapers, the news stations, the civil rights groups. So I did. I contacted the ACLU, the NAACP, Al Sharpton's Action Network, New York Times, the Amsterdam News, the Carib Times, the New York Post, you name it. Any local reporter I could find to tell my story. And at the end of the day, only one of them ever answered me. That was Al Sharpton's Action Network. Simply to tell me, when you're ready to seek damages, we're here. They had no real concern for me or my well-being. They were only looking for some financial gain. When this goes live, I know they will try to tell you I'm a rebel, I'm a resistor. What Cliffy Thompson said is true and bona fide until the fact. But I just ask you to take a minute and go yourself and read the record. And it will show you I was never a threat, and everything I have stated can be seen and verified on the record as being true.